Welcome to Onto Something. Welcome to another episode of Onto Something. In this week's episode, we talk to Dylan Retief. He is the frontman and lyricist of the Bloom-based rock band Safety First. And Viedia joins me for the conversation, and we apologize in advance for all our giggling. But Dylan is quite the character, and we hope you enjoy him as much as we did. So people always ask me, who would be your ultimate, like, if you talk to this person, that'll be like the coolest thing ever. Who would be your person to talk to? Like, you think a conversation with them will just blow your mind. I think I know who
does he have to be alive?
Yeah, I think you know who mine is as well.
I think it'll probably be John Lennon, but this we give a little far-fetched. But if someone's still alive today, I'd probably go with. Give me a while.
Yanni knows exactly who I would choose, but I think there's actually a bunch of people, dude. Like, I think first big ones, Elon Musk, boom, so predictable. Second, maybe actually Robert Sapolsky.
Yeah. I remember we spoke about him.
But yeah, I like the tech/medical to some extent, or psychological
for some reason,
to some extent.
My brain just jumped straight to Rossi Erasmus. Imagine having imagine having Rossi just chilling, chatting a bit of ball, eh? Not that I've watched any of the rugby, just like I just think Rossi is like, I don't watch rugby games, I watch Rossi videos. I don't think I'm a fan of rugby.
He's one of those guys, you just lekker at a braai with him, you know. Like, ja, this is altyd lekker, you know. I don't know, if anyone, like, I think Chris Kombuis, if I could have an interview with anyone now, I'd really talk to, because I'm busy reading his sex, drugs and boeremusiek biography, and it's really great. I don't know why, but I just really relate to it. And even though, like, I'm a kid in a way different age and everything, like 70s and to 2021 is a way, not 70s, but when did Chris Kombuis, but you mean like back in the day when Chris Kombuis started, and with like Johannes Kerkel, and then like that's a different crowd than, like, I think my generation, and I really connect to that. So I actually want to, like, talk to, like, that generation of young,
of your version, basically, like someone doing what you're doing, but just
back
in a completely
day,
different setting, and
hear what the difference is.
What exactly do you connect with?
Just the whole. That's a great question. Just the whole, like, lost generation kids, you know, like the kids die op soek na die onsoekende. Jy weet daai
Dit is op soek na die soeke na iets.
Op soek, ja. Yeah. But, like, I think, like, every generation has, like, a rebel kid, you know, like the government, or, like, you know, like, and stuff like that. But like, I feel like when I read Chris Kombuis, like, I wasn't that into, like, I knew some of his songs, but, like, recently I met this friend Henry, and he played me, like, Bicycle Sonder 'n Slot, and Johnny is die dood nie. And when I heard it, I was like, yes, man, like, you were born in, like, a total generation, but why do I connect to you this much? And then he gave me his biography thing, and the first page I just opened and I read, and it said, ek gaan dit nou in Afrikaans sê, it said, my heel eerste live show, het begin op die ouderdom van 5 sekondes toe die dokter my gat slaan. And I was like, yes, man, like, just that was the first sentence I read, and I was like, yes, like, this is, like, I just connect to it. Like, I think it's just music, and, like, it's saying...
Like, he sees the world the same way you see it to some extent. Like, you've got some overlap there.
Yeah, but I feel like we have a different generation now, so I feel like my vision is still kind of the same, but like it's more of a social media, Instagram hashtag.
Yes, like modernized
instead
a bit.
of it's modernized. It's more. It's still the same problem, but just people tweet about it now.
Do you think that all vibe comes from what the community does, or do you think it's influenced by politics a lot?
I think back with Kweskom Base, there was a lot of politics with PV Botha, and like they wrote a lot of songs. Like Johannes Kerker wrote the song "Set It Off,"
Yeah.
where it's basically about PV Botha talking on the TV, and he's like, "You talking shit, put the TV off," you know. And I feel like it, like if you get that message and you can carry out a certain way, like you'll get a lot of fans that feel the same. But I think like with our generation, we know this land is. So like there's no reason singing about it. Like there's no hiding it. Everyone knows it. It's just I feel today's musicians just sing what they feel, and it's like especially locally, like there's not a lot of politics in music that I hear, bands that I listen to locally. There's not any politics in it.
But isn't it because the thing you just said that the sort of the institution you're fighting has shifted? So in their days,
but the thing is, it shifted. But like I think like everyone knows it's. So there's no reason singing about it. Back in the day, everyone was like, "It's fine," but like,
do you think
it wasn't fine?
Do you think it's so obvious that it's dying, or do you think people are just so bored with the political system not working that they've given up trying even?
I think there's no reason to sing about politics anyway. I think if unless no one knows it, you'll sing about it, because then you want people to notice it. But I think if people already notice it, why sing about it? Instead of like what you get what I'm saying? Like if like. But if I sing about Cyril Ramaphosa now, people are gonna be like, "Cool, I can hear it on SABC2 now." Like it's.
But do you think the truth that so they sang about certain things that they viewed as true at that point that was sort of not in the collective consciousness? Do you think that has inspired what we now know as true? So at that point, people thought the government was this wholesome organization and they take care of us, and then he exposed them for not being that at all. Do you think that is because of his influence within our culture? Do you think there's enough people who know Koos that...
Definitely. I think a lot of, the younger generation know.
So do you think, so you're saying that art has the ability to inspire, create the cultural backbone to some extent?
Like art will always inspire, but I feel like if you don't have an interest in a certain part of my interest is music always, so that'll always interest me. So that's why I still connect to what they are saying, or their message that they are saying. But I feel like today's music is more it's not a statement of something. It's more a dance party.
Yes.
No meaning. Wear sunglasses indoors, look cool, wear white shoes. It's more like that. Instead of when you listen to something, you go what? How did he think of that? What? Instead of how did he think of that? He pressed spacebar. That's how he thought of that. It's a different. I always heard when I started listening, my brother's 15 years older than me, so he introduced me into Pink Floyd, Black Sabbath, especially Rodriguez, even Bob Dylan, stuff like that. But
and what age were you at that point?
Just 6, 7,
a choker.
I was I remember the first time I heard the song Spanish Train by Christa Berg. It's about the devil and Jesus playing poker on a train for souls of the people, on the train, for the souls of the dead. And it scared the living shit out of me. Listening to that, I was that's scary stuff, man. But at the same time, as I got older, I was it's so well written.
Yeah.
Lyrically, it's so well written. And you still get a couple of bands who still write music that I feel is great, but it's the shift changed by like you got like people like Leonard Cohen, and they got like money and not a lot. I heard like anyway, a long story with that. But like you get people who are like really passionate about their poetry and stuff, and they got famous and like made money and stuff. And then you get people who don't do like jack, and then they get world tours, and all they do is like they just use headphones and spin it. So I feel like the meaning of music in a poetry sense like got lost in the 2000s. Like maybe like I feel like the 90s for me personally was like the last time. Like you still get bands like even today, local good bands that I feel like are great, but they don't get the recognition they deserve. The people like DJs get paid way more to throw a party than actual musicians who write music and put emotion in it. You know, like they just get this mooi, you know, instead of here's money.
Don't you think that it's like super cliche, but like video killed the radio star? Like when video was introduced with MTV and MCOR and all of that, it introduced another form of being entertained, and now all of a sudden even good music can't entertain you enough because it doesn't have a
or the music's not about the music anymore.
It's not about the music anymore.
Character
it's about the
or what's
visual
going
aspect,
on the screen.
But I mean,
it's about the entertainment aspect.
If you even watch MTV now, it's a reality show thing. It's Jetty show. It's people getting drunk and partying and this girl hurt my feelings and now I'm gonna sleep with this girl. That girl, you know, like, and then it's that's MTV now, and I feel like it's stupid. Like that's what people want now in today's generation. They want that. That's why it's popular. It's because people really watch that, and I feel like it's just a different generation. It's just it's moving on. I know Jim Jeffries said this thing where like previous people's generation were like, like even our kids' generation, but they're so far ahead with their technology and stuff. Exactly, just like the generation, like our parents' generation were before their parents' generation. So it's just going to keep on moving forward.
It's just progress.
It's just progress, but at the same time, it's pretty shitty progress.
So you don't like the direction that it's going in?
Musically, no.
Yeah.
Not at all. I feel like if you can, and it's not no disrespect, but I just feel like it's shit. Like it's just, I feel like I've heard people who put real good emotion, like songs that I've heard, and I'm like, this is like the best song I've ever heard. And then this guy has like a day job at a like garage or something, like something that I'm like, you're too artistic to be working in a place like this. And I sometimes, like, even me, like, I'm in a bartending industry and stuff, but I'm like, I think the most money I've ever gotten from a show playing was like $3,000, and that's divided between 4 people.
But that's what I wanted to ask you.
And it's just,
don't you think
we practice so hard and we cry and we like, live, and this is my life in a song, and then they're like, can you pay your tab, please? Like,
but there's 2 questions I want to ask you on that. The one is, don't you think a person who captures emotion in music, like sounds and frequencies only, is just as talented as someone who does it using words? So if you write a piece of piano, are you saying someone who only wrote instrumental music, they aren't proper? You get what I'm saying, right?
So
no, surely
that's the thing. There will always be controversy in this conversation, like in the sense of like. That's why I said like there's definitely talent in there, because I've seen like I don't know if you know Mark Reblet. He's this YouTuber DJ guy, but he's so amazing. Like you can see he just skips a vibe in like. Everything he does on YouTube, like when we wake up in the morning, Babalas or whatever, we put Mark Reblet on because he just skips that vibe.
Yes.
And then definitely that makes me feel good, and we need that. That's what we need in music. But the thing is, like, I think I was just like raised on this idea of music that when like
that were lyrically
that lyrics and poetry and
the
stuff
power's
like
in
that.
The lyrics.
That's all I focus on. So I
Yeah.
feel like if you sing about my neck, my back, my crack, I'm not. It's not. It's not my vibe. And I feel like why should that person get a mansion and money while bands like, you know, Tasers and those people are like still struggling, and like each guy has a day job and what. But this girl singing about her body and how she looks, and it's just an image. Like music started from music, and now music has an image like directly like to it. Like music is now like you have to look like this if you want to be famous.
Yeah.
You have to be like this if you want to be famous. Like it's a different thing, but I think it's just like it's evolving.
The focus has shifted completely. But to some extent, I do agree with you. But I mean, I do think there's also an element to it of people just being lucky, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I think it's such
Justin Bieber was on YouTube and like boom, now you're famous.
Exactly. So
lucky.
You send a video on a random place somewhere, and someone notices you and they really like you and they get you in.
Dude, but just from from my perspective, I think a lot of a big part of the problem is people are calling success, are calling things success, but they define success differently.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, like someone like Dylan, success for him means being a pure artist, not selling out, doing something really creative and cool,
but money.
Something you can be proud of, and that's it. That's the goal. If you can do that, then you're successful in a way. And for someone else, being successful means having a big house or whatever, having the money, and then everything. It's difficult getting the middle ground between those two worlds. Like, what is success?
But I mean,
and what type of success are you looking for?
Surely you define that based on your own
I feel like
morals?
I would still like
Sure, but you have to sell out to get money. That's just how the world works. You have to add value to what the majority wants, and normally the majority is not into really cool shit.
But what I'm saying is, if you just shift your criteria, then you're still perfectly fine. I mean, when we started, you asked me earlier, why did we start this podcast, and like, where are we going with this? We define success as just enjoying the process. I mean, I'm really enjoying sitting here and talking to you. So this is successful, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And I mean, I think it's something similar, right? If you shouldn't measure by, because I don't think that's destined for everyone.
But standards.
But if you're enjoying the process while you're doing it, and like, I'm a massive fan. Like I'm always, whenever there's a show I can go to, I message Video. I'm like, Video, we're going to, where's that? Boudoir, the place.
Boudoir,
yeah, I mentioned you about. Oh, wait, does it have a little?
It's a
Boudoir. So I wanted to go to that show, for example.
Yeah.
And think
you were super psyched about the Eastern noise as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think if you view that, because we went to school together, right? I remember you sitting behind me in Sky Nut. Do you remember that? Grade 9.
Grade 9. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were in class together in grade 9.
For Smith.
And then we started talking, right? And like, I don't know if you mind being like personal here, because it was just like so funny to me. And I started talking to this kid behind me, and they just have skater mags out, and they're going through these skater mags, and they're like raving about it. And they're like, remember when we smoked there and this guy fell over there?
And grade 9 now.
And this was grade 9. And they're like, do you remember this shit and what happened there and this guy? But a lot of it, like, it was nice to, like, I remember being with the guys and like, these are pure souls. You can tell it to us from a mile, right? And I could tell these were like cool people.
But that's the thing, like, it's at that age you think like you just think about like having fun, and you don't think about like in 10 years you're gonna need to pay rent, you're gonna need to like where you're gonna be in 10 years, what. You just think about the now, having fun. Let's go riding skateboard, let's go smokes or under a tree and laugh about music and stuff like that. You know, that's all you think about, and that's why it's a good thing, but it's also a very bad thing. You know? And it's like I always knew like music is gonna be my thing. What, but I think like in today's age as well, like it's gonna like the financial, the emotional
aspect.
Yeah, the connection,
the emotional value will always be more than the financial value, especially in today's. But I mean, like I always like there was this John Lennon quote where he was 6 years old, and then he had to write a paper or like essay on what he wants to be when he grows up, and then he said happy, and then the teacher said, you don't understand the assignment, and then he said, then you don't understand life. Personally, I think no 6-year-old kid's gonna say that shit. I think they definitely like bumped the age down. He's probably like 18 or something. But
you're calling bullshit on that one.
Yeah, but
one of those urban myths.
Like the message through that quote really inspired me. But at the same time, it's a very deadly it's crazy. Like if your hobby and your passion and everything you love is in music and stuff, and then it changes in such a way that you know you can't have a future,
can't monetize it completely,
and like that the everything is changing so much that what you love is not a market anymore. You know, there's no money to be made in the market that you love. Yeah. And then I think like as a young kid you get stuck in that market, like this is what I want to be when I grow up. You know, I want to be a firefighter, I want to be a policeman, I want to be a rock star. And then as soon as you like finish school and reality hits you, I think it scares you, you know. You get stuck in this like, oh, now I have to do something I don't want to do just to make money so I can have some spare time to do what I really love. And you know, and that's like when as a young kid you feel like, no, this is what I'm going to do. Like you have this mindset of positivity and like stark, you know, like I'm gonna do this and it's gonna be fun, and then as soon as you get out of there, like it's just like not what you think it's gonna be.
Thought it was going to be.
And then that's the scary thing, and
But don't you think that's like that sort of life? Like
that's definitely life,
because
it sucks.
No, but to some extent, I want to say is we need people to do that for us to make good music.
Definitely, like even
and you couldn't have changed the path you were on, to some extent at least, because I don't know about you, but for me personally, I believe that musicians and people who produce like true art for us, like it's what they were called to do in more instances than some other professions.
It's all they want to do, I feel like.
Exactly.
Anything else you're gonna do, you're gonna hate your life for it. Like
that's what I wanted to say.
I'm not happy.
On this note, I wanted to ask you, like, what inspires you? Where do you get all your inspiration from? Do you think there's a higher power, there's a muse, there are fairies or something, and where do you get all of your inspiration from? Is it only from emotional experiences? Or do you believe there's something more that you receive it from, or that you interpret it from, or what is that process like?
You know, especially like I always message you 3 o'clock in the morning. Yo, Willem, I think I just wrote the best song ever. Next morning, 9 o'clock. Message deleted. Yo, sorry, that was a shitty song. Wow. I think it's always like I feel like the best songs ever written for me, especially, was the best songs I've written was one emotion thing. This is how I felt, and it just came. It just got like it just happened. And even though like you still sing that song, like even like months afterwards, you don't feel the same. It's still like you still feel it in a way, but like it's I don't know. Like when I write music, like it just sometimes it happens. Like it just happens. So as soon as you think about it and go like, okay, what do I think about this? I think you overthink it, and then you think, what do people want instead of what do you want? You know, you go like, okay, I wrote the song like this, and I don't even want to share it, and that's the best part of art is the just for you. That's the like you wrote it for you, And the fact that other people connect to it is just a bonus. And
do you feel writing songs is a way for musicians to process emotions?
Definitely.
Is that
that's literally like if no one listens to it, I'll still keep on doing it because I need to express that emotion that I feel in that way. Sometimes I have this little Nirvana bookie that I always write in, and sometimes I'll get home and like after a party or something, and I'll just pick up my guitar, like I'll be a little emotional and I'll start writing, but then I'll forget about it, and then like eventually when I feel that emotion again, I'll open the book and then I'll read through it and I'll be like, God, that's good. Why didn't I finish it? And then the next morning I feel different and I'll read and I'm like, no, it's shit. Like you're not that like depressed. Be better, you know, like wow. But then it's, I don't know, it's weird. Like if I always say like, you wrote that song and you were sad and then you sing it at a party where people are happy and then they sing it back and that makes them sad, and I feel like that makes you a douche. You know? like you're at this party singing your heart out and people are like, oh, that's so sad, and I'm like and they love it and you're like, oh, but I feel like I even spoke to Willem Nana, ja, was fantasties. They posted this Instagram photo thingy of a quote they wrote, and in it said, ek is ongekwalifiseer en ek voel party mense sien dit. It was just like the end of the thing, and I just commented and I was like, yes Hunter, hoe weet jy wat ek voel? And he just commented back, want ons voel dieselfde. And when he said that I was like, yo, that is amazing, like that. And I feel like even if you're sad and you write a sad song, someone else is sad, they're gonna feel that, like, thank you for, I mean, like, I've heard some sad songs and I'm like, thank you for it. Leonard Cohen, like, if I'm depressed, I don't go to sielkundige, I just go take a bath and listen to Leonard Cohen. You know, it's like, it's all I need is like, is net iemand wat jy hoor wat voel dieselfde as wat jy nou voel.
Yeah.
As dit in Engels kan sê, sal ek dit nou reg kry.
But don't you think that's similarly to the role of a psychologist to some extent? Like
yeah, definitely. Even a bartender is a form of a psychologist.
Just someone to talk to, and the person singing to you talks to you in the language you understand.
Definitely. Like I've the pub that I work at now, it's like, I'm not gonna call any names, but like I work there, and it's like all these old toppies, they come there and they always come there alone. Like the wife's at home and they would like, I feel it's sad, you know, because I get like I help them, but it's like, they just don't want to go home. You can see that. They just want to sit here and drink alone. They don't even talk to anyone. They just want to sit here and drink alone and talk to a random 27-year-old bartender who doesn't even want to be there, you know. And then, like, I feel like if I would think if you, at that age you want is like a nice house and a nice wife and a family, and they have that, and then all they want to do is come to the bar and drink and just complain about it. And like I feel like there's always some extent where you'll never truly appreciate what you have. Yeah, you know. But I mean,
is always greener.
The grass is always greener on the other side. But I feel like I'm too young to talk about that. You know, like
no, but John Lennon was 6 years old when he said he only wanted to. so you're never too young. If there's one thing that's
John Lennon couldn't even spell his name, and he was a prophet. Yeah, I just feel like I feel like an artist, he'll always feel what he feels, but he'll never feel what people feel. You know.
Yeah, like you're too sensitive for the world to some extent. Like
I feel like. I'll write a song and I'll feel like this is a really great song for me. I like it and I love it, and then I'll share it with someone, and then I'll be like, "This mooi," and I'll be like, "It just broke my heart." Like I wanted to be like, "What? Call my mother and tell her about the song." Like Dylan just wrote like, but you'll like I just played. I wrote this song yesterday, and I was like, Vito, you have to hear the song. And so I plugged in his guitar, and we just like literally like just a little bit like, but I wrote it on acoustic guitar, so now it's got all these pedals and metal effects and stuff, and I started playing it, and I was like, yeah, it's not the way it should be heard, because like I sang it and I was like, he's like, yeah, it's more. And I'm like, no, you didn't hear it.
Something's missing here.
But I feel like as soon as you get that song in a way that you feel you are proud of, I feel like someone will always love it, even though it's like your mother. So I feel like someone will always like, I don't know, even if you don't feel the same, I feel like if you put the vibe, the emotion of the melody, so because I know some great sad songs or whatever that I don't even know the lyrics, but the melody of it just makes me feel like I want to appreciate this moment more, you know, or like if you're driving in a car and you hear a certain song, you're like, I love this moment right now, this moment right here, but then you won't, when you get home, you won't even remember the song.
Yeah.
You know, that played in the car once you felt that emotion of thank you, friends, for being here with me, driving in this car, smoking cigarettes and listening to whatever this is. And then when you get home, you're like, what was that song again we listened to? Like, you know, but it's all emotion. It's just ek weet nie wat om te dis net alles like
how it awakens.
It's all like, yeah, it's all just a vibe, and if you don't feel that vibe, you're not gonna like it, you know.
Yeah.
As jy nie hartseer is, gaan jy nie hartseer musiek wil luister nie.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the thing, because I mean, you're sort of preaching to the choir here, because I'm a massive fan of your music, and I'm pretty sure videos as well, because whenever we speak, it's like they're so damn good, right?
So, but we recorded so many songs, dude. I think Dylan spent a few days in this room already.
Oh, so that's why he likes it dark in here. It just makes it feel more like
it's
like the way you recorded all of those days.
Yeah, always when I record, I'm like, I always ask Vera, like, or tell Vera, I'm gonna put the light off, because as soon as the light is on, it just feels like forced. Feels forced. It feels like doing it. You gotta do it now.
Yeah,
action.
You're in the spotlight.
Instead
like you
of
need to perform now.
Okay, breathe. Whenever you're ready, do your thing, you know. And then I feel like art should never be forced, you know, like only felt. You know, it's a knock.
Yeah, no, that's a beautiful quote, by the way. I think that might be because we released like a snippet of wisdom from every. I think that
take
might
it home with you.
Take it home with you. I think that's basically the little snippet that we got there. Eh?
Yeah.
But I think that is true. Like, if you force it, it's not going to have that emotion, because the emotion is not understood. It's just felt.
It's like I've heard songs where
don't
like
solve the problem,
where the live version is more emotional than the actual studio version. And like when I want to listen to, like, let's say there's a song, like let's say stupid example, let's say like 9 Inch Nails, they have the song called Hurt. Johnny Cash covered it.
Yeah.
And then Johnny Cash just emotionally destroyed that song. So like 9 Inch Nails were like, even like, dude, that's your song now. Like, no one can, like, you just put all of the emotion that we wanted to express into this song.
Yeah.
And even though like they felt that emotion, someone else presented it, you know.
Yeah.
Like
that's
way.
the song they wrote.
This is the song we felt and wrote about, but this guy was like, but I'm gonna present the emotion in a better way that you, in a, like, it went more, like, I don't want to say commercial, but a more successful way than they did. But even though Nine Inch, it's a great song still, but like, you would rather listen to like Johnny Cash's version, because like he's got that emotion in it, and then you're like, yeah, this is like, it's the same song, it's just this guy has that emotion in it, and that it just brings it like, it drar it beter deur.
But don't you think it's because of things that he's experienced?
Definitely.
So things that, I mean, it's talent, like voice.
I think like Johnny Cash doesn't even listen to a lot of 9 Inch Nails. I think like he just heard that one song and was like, oh no, I love this song. There's this one guy, actually, there's this Black Sabbath song called Changes. And the other day I was at my house and I was sitting there, and this Charles Bradley guy popped up, and he covers Black Sabbath's Changes, and then the guy on the radio station asked him like, I wouldn't like assume you're a Black Sabbath fan. And he was like, no, I've never heard of them, or I would like but people kept asking me if we want to do the song, and I said no, and then soon as I heard the song, I was like, damn. And he, like, Ozzy Osbourne, I don't know what I think it was more like a Randy Rhoads singing about, like, his friend or something that he lost in the song. And then Charles Bradley sang about his mother that he lost. So he tweaked the words a little bit. And then you watch this live show, this guy. And I was happy. Until I listened to that song. I was like, oh, I want to phone my mom, tell her I love her. Like I'm so sorry. And I feel like it's always, he just did it better. And I feel like, it's just the emotion. If you could present it in a way that, like, gemakkelijk is.
Yeah, that's true to yourself.
In a comfortable way. It'll always be better than being like, sing this song now. You got 5 minutes to sing this song now. Like, go. No, it's not gonna, like you always, like, even if we record here, like, Vida always goes, okay, when I go, like, I feel like that's a good take, Vida's gonna be like, let's do another one. Like, if you got, like, you feel that's the best one, then the previous one was the best one, then the next one's gonna be the best one, you know? So, like, you're never gonna, not never, but I feel like it's always like, better to be in a comfortable situation if you talk about feelings and emotions and stuff like that, than to be in a interventional, forced,
that's also why you said when we came in, you're like, Yanni, do we have to record in English? Because you just feel like in
Afrikaans is
because
my home language.
You don't have to filter yourself.
Even though
and it's
our band is in English and I write music in English and poetry in English, I'm still Afrikaans, and it's my home language, and it's a language that I'm comfortable talking in. As soon as I want to say something in Afrikaans, like, if you heard me, like, translate, like, if I can't get the meaning, I'll say it in Afrikaans, like. But I feel like as soon as I talk in English, I feel like a little bit uncomfortable because I never, like, speak about, like, this type of things in English. It's always like an Afrikaans topic with my Afrikaans friends or whatever.
Yeah.
But I feel like, if it's English, I feel like you have to think about what you say now instead of just saying it. Like,
there's a bit of a lag. There's a bit of it's not the emotional that's involved. The brain is involved now as well.
How do I pronounce this word? How do I, like...
But that's why it's easy, because my English accent's probably the worst out of all of ours.
No,
so then
you have the best one.
so then it's very easy for...
the worst one.
It is true what you're saying about... like that filter that it has to go through.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing.
But why do you write songs in English then? Like,
it's always it's also like for Polisikar also spoke about, like, this Afrikaans is not global. You're not gonna go international with an Afrikaans band. So they all started in English bands.
Yeah.
And eventually they were just like, okay, but this is the taal we know, prating. And then Vida knows about one, so I wrote this one Afrikaans song, Die Gebed. And I feel like it's a really good, like, for me personally, I really enjoy the song, but it's like I'm too scared to play it for Afrikaans people, in a sense, because, like, it's very out there, but, like, I feel like as soon as I write in Afrikaans, it's more like I don't know. It's just like ek weet nie.
It's like your true soul coming out.
Or? Not like that. It's just like it's more pressure. More pressure to because you Afrikaans, but I feel like
Afrikaans is judged harder.
It's just as soon as I write a song on the guitar and start playing and I have a verse or something and I sing it in Afrikaans, automatically I think of, like, shit like Brennan Piper and I'm like, this, I don't know, it's
you went
cheese.
to school with us as well.
Yeah, it's like it's like this cheese, and I don't want to be like mooi ry met rooi. I want to be like someone who loves Koos Kombuis will go like, yes, this new kid that recently, like, have you listened to this lyrics, like,
but this is who we are. That's what I'm trying to tell you. There are people like that out there. So I believe if you deliver in whatever you feel is your true calling.
Yeah, there will always be a market, but it's just the size of the market. The size of the market of the music that I'll play is not as big as the size of the market that Brennan Piper or those people play. It's like they'll sell out shows like that, and I'll be like, all my chommies kom rook dagga by my huis.
Those maak bietjie tunes.
Yeah, but it's for me it's gonna be more fun in that sense.
Yeah.
Than going to San Duplessis Theater,
No, but I mean,
drinking sparkling water. Oh, it's so boy.
Exactly, and that's why I think if you lived Brendan Paper's life, you would have killed yourself 3 years ago. Imagine you have to wear fallies each day. Every day you have to wear your fallies and like a kortbroek, and you observing, you putting on virtual reality glasses. And you watching his life as a movie. You're watching his life as a movie. Would you enjoy that?
No, I would hate it. Like the thing is, the other day I spoke to someone and about Brendan Paper actually. Like, so jammer as jy nou hierdie luister, bro.
I was also school legit,
so
bro.
Jammer, bro. I'm be better. Joke. Sorry, Brendan. Nou. Nee. Maar wat ek wil sê is, in his contract, it states that if someone asks him to take off his shirt, he's not allowed to say no. And I was like, what the fuck has that to do with music, man? Like, automatically you lost me there. Like, it's like, why? Why do you need to, like, it's already like, if I play the exact same songs, they're gonna be like, ugh.
But you have to give it a shot. Have you tried? Have you tried taking your shirt off? Huh?
Nah. Well, when I'm drunk, I'll do it. Exactly, but it's gonna be like a own the poopy.
Exactly.
You know?
Maybe that's where the money's at, eh?
Yeah. I think it's where the.
No, but I get what you're saying. It shows you it's not about the music anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it sucks, but like, I feel like if you still do it for fun, you'll always have a crowd. If you just keep on doing it for fun, like this.
Exactly.
Even this thing, like, it's so much fun. So even like, I'll go like, let me go listen to all the other podcasts because like this is so much fun, and I want to like see every other person's perspective of like what do you talk about with them and what.
With random other people.
Yeah, and then like, it's you know it's a pretty weird world, man.
That's what I was trying to get across, because people live past each other and they don't know what the guy next to them thinks about life and how they view going through this thing.
Marius Creer.
Yeah.
So when we were still in high school, like we had this like, okay, we got to start a band, what? And then he gave me this name for a band, and he called it Sonder, Sonder. And in Afrikaans is sonder, you know, like sonder wat. But in English, it's like, so sonder is like the realization that everyone else is a different perspective of life. Like it's different. Like if you would walk down the street and here I'm walking, and then this car driving here, this guy's on his mission. Different things. He's gonna maybe like go bury his grandkids, or like you don't know what he's doing, you know, like shit. And then this guy's probably like gonna go buy heroin and sell it to that guy's grandkids, and this guy's gonna like, you know, everyone's got their own mission and stuff,
and this guy's gonna go for a one night stand.
Yeah, exactly. So you never know like what people like, what every person's about. But like, even though if I feel like even if you meet them, like I met you before, but I don't know. Keep doing.
I've got a mask on as well in front of you. I mean, I'm not revealing. I'm revealing you some things, but there's also a line that I've sort of drawn. I'm like
a personal. This is me. You have to talk like. There's a line where you go like, okay, a comfortable feeling of like, no, I feel comfortable, so now I can address this
exactly
to this person, like talk about this, and because I know like he'll relate to it or give me advice to it. Stuff like that. But I don't think you'll ever like, I mean, I'm not going to tell you about like anything in my personal life. Go smoke a cigarette now, you know, like it's unless like, I feel like that's the thing, like even if you're in a bar, you always get these drunk, emotional, dronk verdriet, and then the stuff starts pouring out, you know, and I'm like, hey, it's a very personal thing, like, you know, I'm not going to remember, like, you know, and then it's just, ek voel as ek en jy nou, if you and I go drink a couple of gins now, like, for some reason I'll talk about my dad with you, you know, like, it's like it
just flows.
It just flows if you get comfortable with a person, and you know.
But it comes over time, and as you reveal something, they reveal something. I mean, to some extent, that's like a manipulation technique that people use. Like if you want to get information out of someone, you reveal something slightly embarrassing about yourself,
to get something embarrassing back or
to get something
personal back.
That's sort of the transactions that are happening between people, and people who play that game are like, they can be very manipulative. But you know, there is a band called Sonder, just by the way.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm not entirely.
Damn.
Yeah. No, so I think, like, because they're recent as well, if I'm not mistaken, but they're big. And so Marius's band, he added it.
Failed, so you got a safety first.
Yes, safety first at least is still unique. So actually, now that you mention safety first, I mean, that's like, how did that come about? Because
so
I love you guys, and you know, like, I was not a day one fan, but day two, surely I count as a day two fan.
Yeah.
And how did that happen?
So how it started was, well, I always knew I wanted to be in a band. Just didn't know with who or what. So after school, I moved to Cape Town. I was like, this is where the stuff's happening, what. And then I lived with my brother, but I was like, okay, cool, I'm going to meet people here. But the job I had there was just so intense. It was like 6 o'clock in the morning. You're there at 7. And then you work till 10 at night, and then you wake up again at 6. You're there at 7 days a week. And I did that for like a year, and it was just, I never met anyone else in a year, like, except my brother's friends. So I was like, this is not why I came to Cape Town. I was here to make music, meet people.
Yeah.
Got really, like, depressed in there, and I was like, cool, I'm going to go back home. Went back home, and then started looking for jobs, and I was like, cool, I'm going to go to anywhere music-related places are. So I went to Tom's, DV's, music shops, didn't want...
Just the guy with a mustache scouting out music shops with your van.
Like, hey, I got a mustache. let me change the strings.
You just see a drummer, you just throw him in your van. Like, you just kidnapping.
Yeah. But then I went to Mystic Bird and just gave in my CV, and I remember when I walked in there, they were busy painting the outside. And I walked up there, I was like, hey, do you guys need any, like, jobs? Anyone working here, please? Like, and they were like, when can you start? And I'm like, today. They're like, can you be at 1? I'm like, cool. I'm just go shower and I'll be back. Started working there. And at the time when I worked there, it was still like, there was still a live music scene. A lot of bands played there, and that was the one thing I really wanted. And I knew the manager at the time, they had a band, All Will Fall, with Buxy and Pedro and all the cool kids. And they had a band room at the back of Mystic, like in at the back, like the VIP lounge. Not even the VIP, you got to go to the back of the VIP lounge.
The VVIP.
Yeah, the VVIP lounge. But it was a band room, and there was drums, amps, everything. And that's where they used to practice. And I would work bar, and then they would practice, and I would always be so like, oh, just go watch there and what. And I saw Buxy playing guitar there, and I was like, oh. And everyone would go home, but Buxy would always stay at the bar. He'd always come back to the bar, drink, and you know, Buxy. Anyway, and then
that was like the basic person.
So then I would
drink and
we would start talking, and I would like, dude, I write songs and stuff. Like, if you maybe want to jam with me, you know, drunk guys always like, yeah, dude, yes. I'll call you tomorrow, what, we'll do it. And he actually called me, and it was like, cool, let's go. It was a day off, and Buxy and I went to the back of Mystic, and I brought my lonely old grandpa acoustic guitar, and he had his electric and stuff, and I played him like a couple of songs of mine. I think I played like 3 songs, and then he was like, I love it, so let's work on that one. And then in the first day, we wrote anything. Like, it just, boom, we have the song.
The first day you met?
The first, like, yeah, well, I had the structure and the lyrics and everything, like, already down, but the electric guitar was never part of it, and it was a much slower song than it is today. Much, much slower. And then as soon as we started playing it, it was just like, he was like, let's make it faster. But instead of like going here, we do a stop here, and then we go a tan 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 here, and then we go like a pa 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 here. And I was like, it's like a thing where musicians talk. It's like let's, instead of a tla tla tla, let's do a twa ta ta pa, and they know exactly what it means, you know. Yeah. So like we started like working on like stuff like that, and it was just like, after we finished that song, it was like, great, like let's do it every like twice a week, let's do this. Like we just come here, and he's like, how many songs you got? And I'm like, I got a lot of songs. So
your Nirvana book.
Yeah, and then my Nirvana ball, that was like even before the Nirvana book, because like I get klomp boekies. I've got a lot of books.
The memoirs.
Yeah, it's not fully written with lyrics. A lot of them is just like pictures of like
concepts,
dicks and stuff. I don't no, like drawings. Yeah, so then we used to practice there, and then we started practicing there. It was lekker. Eventually, like, we had like 5 songs, I think, and then we got a gig at Scarlet Room. And we had 5 songs, and the rest were covers. And we were like, cool, because it's like 5 songs Bix and I play, and then 5 songs I just cover, like, because we didn't have the material. And I remember we played that show, people loved it. After a while, Bixie came to me, he's like, yeah, here's money. And that was the first time I received money for playing a live show.
At Scarlet?
And it was $400.
Fuck yeah.
And I was like, what? I got paid for this? Like, I thought this was like a party thing. Like, oh, let's... Like... And then after a while, like, but let's take it seriously. Let's practice like more. And then we would start practicing at the back of Mystic. But then after a while, people would come through and then watch our practice, and then it started becoming a thing where you don't get to practice. It's more you get to like perform for the people watching. So we got like, we need to get a place more private than this. So we went to the showgrounds. He was in another band at the time. He wasn't like a shitload of bands, but at the time he was in another band called Scratch Card Glory, and it was Buxy played the bass in the band.
Okay.
And then Jeff played guitar, and then Kamu was on the drums. And then what would happen is we would get there an hour earlier before they would practice, and then Bix and I would practice. And then as soon as the other guys would get there, they would practice, and I would just sit there and write lyrics. Like, that was a thing. And then after a while, Jeff would leave, and then Bix would pick up the guitar, and Bix and I would practice again, but then Kamu would start like playing a little something on the drums. And then eventually we went to Kamu, we were like, yo, can we have a gig again? Like, can you play drums in the gig?
See.
And he was like, just this one time, because I'm a session drummer. I don't play for your band. Like, Scratch Card Glory is my band. Like, but I'll play for you this once. And we played the first gig, and then from there on, like, he's played every gig since. And eventually we would practice more than Scratch Card Glory would, and then Jeff eventually just gave the banjo back to us, and then he had like he's got a big job.
Battle of the bands, like the true battle of the bands.
But he was a great guy, but like I feel like his job and everything was like it started like he couldn't show up to practices and stuff. So
it got in the way.
It got in the way. So eventually, like we would take over his space, and then like. We were always like, no, we don't need a bassist, because I was playing the acoustic guitar. I felt like it's got enough bass. Bix was on the electric, Kamu on the drums.
Yeah.
And then after every show, people were like, oh, you guys are good. You guys need a bassist, though. Like, no, we don't need a bassist. And we got Donnie, who's the first. I think Donnie was the first bassist. Yeah, great bassist. Great, amazing bassist. But I think our first tour at Joburg, I could see like, this guy's he's not gonna stick, yeah. Because we would be like partying, braaiing in the front, partying clip art, and then Donnie would be in the living room watching anime, saying, I gotta go work now, and then go and watch anime. So I could feel his vibe was not like, he's a very, very chill, very like amazing guy, but he's like he's not a party animal, like he won't like, he's not an expressive person.
And that's what your band's about, right?
It's
like
well, not expressive in a sense of like musically he's amazing. Expressive, but like in a social environment.
But I mean, even that's your band. Like that's what Safety First does. Like you hang out with the people.
That's like it's also like because when we played in Joburg, then we would play, but because you can't drive drunk there. It's not Bloom, you know. So they would pull you off. So we would have a designated driver waiting until we finish our sets, and then we had the rule that we would finish our sets, and then as soon as we finished, we would all go together to the house or the place we stay at, and then party there because we don't want the one guy not to like just sit there because he has to drive, and then because he has to be sober, and we didn't have money for Uber with all our gear and everything, you know. So,
So you had to.
So we had to like as soon as we finish, we go, and then Benny was his name. I love Benny. Shout out to Benny. Wow. And then we drove back, and then I'm not gonna say who, but Buxy took a Xanax. Someone gave him a Xanax, and then he didn't know, like, he knew what it was, but, you know, with all this famous little Xan people, you don't know what this shit does anymore. He's like, am I going to get face tattoos now? And then eventually, like, Bucks takes half the Xanax, and he's, like, pretty chill. And we're sitting in this car driving back to the place we stay at. And Buxy is sitting next to me, and he starts, like, going, like, Dylan, I love you. And I'm like, I love you, Bucks. He's like, I love you, bro. And he starts crying. And I'm like, oh, I love you. It's this intimate moment. Like, we just played this great show, and it was like this, this is like what we want to do. And then all of a sudden, whip. And we get pulled over. Benny, thank God, didn't drink a drop of alcohol.
Yeah.
This cop comes, shines his flash in the car. He's like, yo, all the guys get out of the car. And I get out of the car. The cop comes with a flash like this to my face. He's like, oh, you're a guy. I'm like, ja, dude.
Die snor.
die lange hare, like, ja, and die snor. Oh.
So surely was die snor.
Eventually, like, I start talking, and Bix is, like, still, like, in this emotional, like, state of, like, oh, I love this guy. And like, now I'm going to get arrested. Like, I can see Bix is just, like, awkwardly standing there. He's like, did you guys drink? And I'm like, yeah, we drank, but Benny didn't drink. He's our designated driver. We're from Bloom, like, playing a band. We're going to go to this hotel now. And, like, it's like, oh, okay, good. Like, very nice guy. Eventually, we drive off.
That's nice to hear that the cops, like, are decent. Like.
I think, like, as soon as you give them this, like, feeling of, like, not confidence, but, like, if they go like, if they go like, hey, and then you're like, shit, man, like, just don't look in the boot, man. Like, they're gonna, like, if you go out and you're like, hey, I'm a little drunk, like,
exactly.
I'm not driving, you should arrest the driver. You know, like, yeah. But it's off topic much, but yeah, that's like Safety First started. Like, that's how it started, yeah.
No, but then that was the bassist that didn't fit in.
Oh, yeah.
To the
so
group
then
dynamic
eventually
at that point.
we were like having auditions. Oh, so we got this manager guy. I'm not gonna like say any shit, but we got this manager guy, and we were like, cool. We need a new band. We need a new bassist. And we're like, okay, cool. So I had this great guy. I love him, Duncan Seaman. I don't know if you know him, Duncan Seaman. But he plays. He's actually a great lyricist.
Who posted that shit once? Like, jy dink jy's gedoop in water.
Maar jy's eintlik Duncan Seaman. Dude, when I posted that, I got shares of that post that didn't even have Duncan as a mutual friend. That's not
because I saw that shit, I was like,
yeah, it just came to me in a dream, man. This is short, that's amazing.
You know, because I was like that.
Ja, ek voel dis een van my greatste moments gewees toe ek daai gedoen het. Maar ja, we had bass editions, and then Duncan Seaman. We as a vriendengroep gaan ons altyd He-Man gekyk.
Ek weet van die concept, but I haven't watched it.
Ons gaan met op Seaman.
So I've never spoken a word to the guy, but I've seen him, you know, when I went to watch the chili eating competition thing. But the first time you weren't there,
No.
But then he was there in the crowd as well.
He's a great lyricist. He writes great songs, and like you could like Duncan and I also wrote like a song called "Here I Go." I don't know what the name is.
Here I go.
Is it really not? Yeah, so let's call it that. But it's a song Duncan and I wrote, and it's a great like. It's rare. It's not a thing where I can like just write a song with someone, you know.
Yeah,
it's just
exactly.
Like,
because you open up a bit.
Like we sat there drinking. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning and drinking, and that song just boom. It was like what a beautiful song, and But anyway, I was like, okay, he has to be the bassist for the band because musically he can add to lyrics and backup vocals and stuff like that.
And you know the guy,
like, and he plays guitar, and I feel like if you can play guitar, you can play the bass. It's like because every question you ask a bassist is like, why did you start playing guitar? But
the hierarchy is clear.
But then you get people who are very passionate about just the bass, like Donnie. He's just bass.
Oh, like
that's
exclusive.
bass.
Like he plays the bass and he watches
Gavin,
anime.
he played guitar and then went to bass. But Gavin is also like, I like the bass more than the guitar because I bought a bass amp and expensive bass and like bass is his thing. But then we had auditions and only 2 people actually were like interested, and it was Duncan and Gavin. And then we were in the band room, and then I played the song Parapa.
Yeah.
It's only 2 chords, C and G. So I just play this. So it's an easy. I'm not even telling them what the chords is. I want them to like just fill in. And if they don't know what the chords is, they're not gonna be in the band, you know. So I'm like, they can see it's.
You're on a strict process.
Yeah,
eh?
I'm like
those Google interviewers.
Yeah, it's like it's so banner.
It's like a puzzle.
And we started I started playing this, and Duncan did like a very root notey. Like root note means like he just plays the same note I does. You know.
Oh, he just follows
the root note, yeah. And it was like at least he knows what the root notes are and what the notes are. And it was like, and then Gavin came in and just boom. It was just like, okay, Duncan, I'm so sorry. like that was the worst thing I had to do. I was like, because I went to him, was like, okay, Duncan. He's like, yeah, I know, I heard it. Like, he's like, yeah,
I understand.
It's true, yeah, it's just. But I mean, you had a bra afterwards, and then Gavin. What I liked about Gavin is his stage presence. Is when we play a show, he's the guy who jumps on the table and jumps around and stuff like that. And I really like that because I feel like I always write these super depressing songs, so I need these band members that pump up this show, you know, like so people don't get lost.
To keep that balance. You seeing them down, he brings them back up again.
Who's this guy on my table? I don't know what he does, but I love this band.
Yeah.
So that's the band now. It's basically like it's us.
Yeah, and it's a very cool. I mean, I don't know whether when I went to watch you guys in Pretoria, I don't know whether that was your first show or not. In Joburg.
What show was that?
That's
the one with.
That was the one there under Fokhof Bar.
Oh, it's the one with. That's the night Buxy took the Xanax.
Is that the night you took the Xanax?
It's literally Grind Bar.
Yes, Grind Bar. You're right.
I remember that show. It was a great. I remember. It was the first show of the tour thingy, and nervous much, you know. You never been there, and it was other bands as well. Satanic Dacha Orgy, Big Lebowski's there. Go the Rodeo.
So my flatmate's a massive Satanic Dacha Orgy fan, and I was a big Safety First fan. And when we saw both of these bands again, I'm like,
let's do it, yeah. And we've played with them before, so we felt like this, like, oh, it's gonna be like. And I remember, like, we opened the show with Good Time Overdose. And Buxy, it has this intro where it goes doo 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 doo.
Yeah.
And then Buxy didn't play it right the first time, and then he tried to play it the second time. He didn't get it, and then he did this, and then I felt like this. Oh shit! People just noticed we fucked up, you know. And then after that, like it was just like this emotional, like oh shit, don't fuck up. So I like. That's why that show we got drunk afterwards. It wasn't a lack of show for us.
Oh, you enjoyed that?
No, it was like I was like. It was for me. It was like one of the, like, most nervous. Like I feel like people because you see them with the previous band, they jump around and stuff, and now you play, and then they're just standing there, and then something's not right now, where's this energy that the previous band gave them is not here anymore, and then I feel like we lost them there, and then it was a terrible gig. That's why we got really drunk afterwards.
Didn't you enjoy that one?
No, I enjoyed it to a sense, but I feel like
I enjoyed seeing you guys there.
But the best on that tour, he played a show Railways, Pretoria as well.
Yeah.
Best show of my life. It was just the energy, the vibe. We even did this thing that like we didn't even plan it, but just started playing this riff, and then Donnie was still in the band. Donnie started bassing over. Kamu started filling. And then I was like, I need to go piss, dude. I need to go piss. They're like, go. They're going to loop this like into thing. And I went to go piss. As soon as I got back, it was like I introduced Bugsy, and then he shreds. And then I introduced Gavin and Donnie, and he would shred. And I'm like, Kamu, and then he would shred. And I'm like this. And then it just led into this new song. And it just happened. Not new song. It just flowed into the song that we were actually gonna play, like in that set, and it was just like the best thing ever. Like, afterwards, like and it sucked because we had to go home afterwards because Benny couldn't drink and drive.
Yeah.
So like everyone wants to like party and have like. Yes, that was like you want to party with the bands that played with you as well, like get to meet them and stuff like that. But now like you have to go. So it kind of like that sucked in a way, but like I think that was like, Railways, that same tour.
That was magic.
It was the best show that I've ever played. I think it just felt like in the band room,
Yeah.
Like it was just happening.
But I must admit, I think Railways is much more your vibe than that grind bar.
But grind bar closed now, I think.
Yeah, I can't imagine them like because it was.
Yeah.
Chill vibes.
It was a bunk event, so it was a cool event, but I don't know, Railways was just like, it's like Mystic, yeah.
Exactly.
It's just your people.
And they just like pluck a bunch of shit against the walls, and there's like it's a very much Mystic vibe.
It's always like, I remember there was this, like at the backstage, there was the big ass bookshelf, and the manager guy comes, he's like, yo, if you want to take a book, just leave a book. I'm like, what? This is like how this works. Like, yeah, take a book, leave a book.
Yeah.
I was like, that's pretty cool. Like, they got that whole authentic vibe, and they got the merch church there, so you can buy like band merch in the like. There's this whole shoppy in Railways where you can like sell your merch, and so it's pretty cool. Like they support the local scene. You can see there's a lot of musicians hang out there. That's a lacquer thing.
No, they really support it very, very well, and it's cool to see that there are still places like that going. Because, as you say, like Mystic now, that used to be a haven like that. Because Mystic is closed now, right?
Mm.
I mean,
the Bloom one,
yeah, something like that's actually quite sad when you think about the impact it has on the music, as you mentioned earlier. Like that contributes to music.
That was the one venue where you could like watch a band,
Yeah.
And like you still like, then you get places like Asphalt Club, and they still get the bands here and stuff, but I mean they only open when it's not like Mystic was like you get there and then you would meet people that play in bands and like then watch bands together and stuff, so that was like different. But even like after a while it started becoming more and then it was like, you don't meet musicians that party there. You meet like trance copies and like, but it sounds good. I'm like, Scar Alarm tunes. But it's like then I feel old because I'm like, when I started working there, people are like, Mystic's not the same as it was. I'm like, fuck you still have 2 bands a week here. Like, got a band room at the back. Yeah. Playing nothing but rock and roll in here. And now it's like, when I got there, I'm like, Mystic's not the same. And I'm like, it happened in like 2 years. I felt like I got 40 years older. Like,
I'm like, but then they only got that, like, as you say, the techno DJs out. And it was bad.
It was the thing, because Mystic Boot was the place where the alternative kids. It was a place where the kids that don't fit into the normal scene went there, and then it started becoming like this cult following of a place. Like, you like, I remember, like, working there, you felt like this, I work at Mystic. For some reason, I work at Mystic, and I'm proud of this. And you were at the time, but, like, it's all just, yeah, like...
I just remember the guy with the knife, who you would always, like, just flick around a knife and then just, boop. They were so good with knives, the bartenders. It was terrifying.
As soon as you finish your training, you would get a knife.
Oh, is it? Did they give that to you?
Yeah, it's like you get, if you finish your training, you get a knife.
Just because those
and
guys...
then you have to call you have to give your knife a name.
No way.
And you have to, like, pump it out. Like, mine was called Jackie. Because I would always... Because I wanted to do that as well. And I asked Peter, I'm pretty good at a knife.
Juggling.
Well, I can just do the, like, drumstick move.
Yeah.
But I would... When I used to flip it, I would catch it. And every time I would catch it, it'd keep, like, cutting my finger, yeah. So then I would, like, I would have, like, ek sal op sy steady bar slat om stomp te maak. And then I couldn't get it, like, you know, like, but stomp in Engels.
Blunt.
Yeah,
to try and blunten it.
Yeah, I can blunt as a skateboard chick. But then, yeah, we would, to make it blunt, and it wouldn't go blunt, so I just took a shitload of Jack Daniels stickers that were, like, in the bar, and I sticked it all around the blade, because you never used the blade for cutting. It was always for opening.
Yes, exactly.
So there's no reason for it to be sharp. Yeah, so we would just stick it with... I just sticked it with a shitload of Jack Daniels stick. I still have the knife till this day. It's in my room.
That's
cool.
Cool.
Yeah, it's like it's a piece of, like, your
legacy.
Mystic history thing. You know? And you would always get this little book as well, where it would be like your rule book. So, like, I remember, like, there would be rules like only Craig can cry. Because he would cry sometimes. But stuff like, I remember, like, it was, like, stupid rules. Like, you couldn't drink out of a brown bottle. Like, you can't drink a black label. Because Vintage was the beer at the time.
Okay.
So if you want to drink a black label, you had to pour it in a glass. And if you see you with a brown black label bottle, even if you're off shift, they would hit you with the knife. But, and always the same arm. Always the same arm.
What do you mean, hit you with the knife?
Oh, you don't know that. So it's a mystic tradition, even to this day. Even Chillax, that open now, yeah, it's most mystic people.
Okay.
Still, like, they do it to their people as well. So what happens if you you're a newbie? You get in there, like, you're the newbie, like, you don't know shit, you know.
Which is fair.
So they would, everything you do wrong, you have to hold your arm out, and they take their bar knife and they hit you, bah! Just lightly, or however they feel, but eventually you don't get to swap arms. So the whole night you get this one arm, and eventually, like, you have
turns blue.
It shows you, like, look, I finished my hell week. It's like a thing, like, wow,
a badge of honor.
And I feel that's very fucking stupid. Like, I feel like just go like, hey, don't do that. Just do this. Yeah.
But it's been a tradition for so long now.
Yeah, it's just been exactly. It's been a tradition for so long that I feel like it's cool to be like, you went through that, and in a sense, like, you've earned, you know, like, being part of the family and the mystic stuff.
It's like how the war people would always talk about, like, going through their initiation or whatever together.
Yeah, it's initiations.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it creates a sense of community very effectively.
Even to this day, if I walk past Fanny, I would always do this. Just hold my nuts closed.
What?
It's just the thing. He always hits you in the nuts when you work with him, and, like, even to this day, if I greet him at Chicago where he works now, like, you know, it's just like a reflex. You just close your nuts, and they're like, and then sometimes I'll also hit you, and he'll be like,
safety first.
Safety
That's
first.
where the name comes from. You got to protect those.
McNuggets.
Huh?
McNuggets.
McNuggets.
From the Longest Yard. I don't know if you've seen
Adam Sandler.
I can't remember that, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's like a football movie.
Yeah.
They dronk to gaan. Then he teaches the people about football and American football.
But honestly,
African American football.
I wanted to ask you something about the bar thing as well that I wanted. Oh, the thing you said, en ons kan eintlik Afrikaans praat half hier hoor, maar the thing you said about tradition was quite interesting to me as well. Like, how do you feel about traditions in general? Like, do you think you're a rebel just for the sake of being a rebel? Because not like now with the knife thing that you said you didn't like, but you went through it. Would you endorse that, or is it like
tradisie? Ek dink kan ek Afrikaans praat? I think tradition plays a big part in your life, like at a young age. Like, as example, my brother, I really looked up to him in a big sense, you know, and everything he did. Like, I didn't even listen to Dimmu Borgir, and I'll be like, I love Dimmu Borgir. I fucking love Dimmu, and I don't love Dimmu Borgir. I fucking hate Dimmu Borgir. But like, as a young kid, you wanna like be like the cool brother. You wanna be like the person you look up to. So I think like a tradition in a young age, like if the people you look up to do a certain type of thing, you would also want to do that certain type of thing. But I think as soon as you get older and you start to think for yourself, you can start, you know, thinking of
like what do you actually like?
Even though that's a tradition they do, I don't want to be part of that tradition, you know.
Yeah.
And I think as a young age, if you like, let's say like I hate this topic, but like let's say as a young kid you forced into like a certain type of religion, you're gonna be part of that religion. You're born that way, you know. Like if you taught at a certain age, this is wrong, this is right, you're gonna believe it, and you grew up like that, you know. So I feel like, yeah, tradition is like a big part of like let's say like, in a sense, like if you look up to something, I feel like as jy soos ek kan nie in Engels dit sê nie. As jy opkyk na iemand toe, dan gaan jy altyd sy tradisies wil volg, voel ek. Ek wil soos daai persoon wees, maar as jy nie opkyk na hom nie en iemand sê vir jou hierdie is die tradisies wat daai ou volg, dan gaan jy wees net vir dit. Dan gaan nie daai dis nie kan nie daarvan nie. Ja. So like as jy by Mystic Cinema gewerk en daar was tradisies in die bar, jy moet dit en dit en dit doen. En ek het nie daarvan gehou van like ek wil wat daai is my cool geweest. It was a cool fucking kids. Fucking hell, daai fucking sonbrille binnekant. Yes, it was amazing. Jy weet, ek kyk op na hom en hy's so cool.
Ja.
En dan gaan ek soos wil deur hierdie kak gaan om daar uit te kom.
Daai level te attain.
Maar as ek nie opkyk, as ek dink hy's shit, dan as ek so kom wil ek hierdeur gaan, dan gaan ek bedank en weg en 'n ander tradisie gaan soek, jy weet.
Ja, 'n tradisie wat jou pas.
So ek dink ek weet nie. So maak dit sin wat ek sê daar.
So basically you're saying you pick the traditions that suit you and you throw away the ones that doesn't. And that in my opinion is culture, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like you choose, like the Afrikaans culture. Many shit things about Afrikaans culture. Many great things about Afrikaans culture. Then you choose what you take from that, and that's not necessarily shit in a absolute sense. For someone else, those things are great and wonderful, but it doesn't necessarily resonate with who you are.
Yeah.
So then you drop those parts of the traditions and things, and you build your own things, and then you influence people. If people think like the way you're living is awesome, then like you looked up to your brother, then people will look to you in that way, and start thinking and acting and.
But it's always like.
That's why you need free thinkers.
But like. Now that you say in that way, I'm like, nah, people shouldn't look up to you. Like, nah. Like, even like that, like, you would look up to someone thinking they're cool, but like, or like, like...
Surely you were inspired by the musicians you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, but like even like Hunter Kennedy, if you ask him, you think you're a role model, he'll say no, you know? He'll be like, because I watched like this documentary, Johnny and the Myers. Jy moet dit kyk, is baie cool. Ek gaan vir YouTube link stuur.
Yeah.
It's baie cool.
Johnny and the
Myers. So it's about this one guy basically wants to become a musician, and then he works in this DVD shop, and it's like this whole like it's a spoof basically, like he's gonna become a musician, you know, like you know. So but at the same time they give you background on all the Afrikaans culture of music and where it got to this point, like from Voel Vry Fees to Oppie Koppie, and like they give you like it's a great documentary. But anyway, in that documentary they ask the people, do you think like Afrikaans or like Afrikaans artists are like helde nie
heroes or a role model.
A role model, ja. Het is 'n ander kenner van fuck nee. Like, and as you on dink, like, that guy lived his life, he was in some dark places, you know?
Yeah.
And he got out of that, whatever, but, like, he wouldn't, like, it's not like something you would be like, do it. It's gonna learn you. Like,
you wouldn't want someone else to go through all of that.
Exactly. Like
that was his path, and he walked it nobly and like
so,
honestly.
Even though people think like, oh, he like did cocaine off of like toilet seats in bars in Joburg after like playing gigs, and you weet like, oh, that's so rock and roll. He would be like, no, it's stupid, can get your shit together. You weet, hou op sigarette rook. You weet, like kry kinders en word groot. Want ek meen like, you grow up in a sense after a while, you know, like even like if you listen to Fokov's new album, people hate it, or like a lot of my friends hate it because it's not kwaad tiener musiek, and I'm like, but they aren't quite teeners.
They can't do it.
They grew
anymore.
up now, like they're not the same people they were back then. That's why like they don't want to be that person they were back then.
They can't deliver that material
They don't
anymore.
want to be that like scummy fucking, you know, like party animal wat fucking niks van sy shit bymekaar het nie.
And that's
ek staan op daai, ek staan daar 27.
That kind of innocence as well.
Ek gaan nog leer. Maar nie nou.
Maar ook daai soos that innocence, that kind of when you're young and they just kwaad and as you say now like going at the world and believing that they're going to destroy it.
Maar ek meen as jy even terug, as ek dink as jy soos ek meen man, as ek dink aan soos like high school and stuff, I think like, such a dumb piece of shit, dude, because you're so young, but you think you know everything in a sense. Like you think like, you hear about high school dropouts of people who don't need education, and then they like made this load of money, and you just follow your passion, and then you get so easily influenced by like documentaries that I watched and stuff. I was like, no, I'm just gonna be doing music. I don't give a shit. Music.
All the way,
yeah, and like it just like I think like, because I remember I was like, if I after I finish school, I'm gonna study teaching.
Yeah.
And I was like, cool, because that's gonna be the easiest thing for me to do while I can still do music. It's gonna be like the one thing I don't have to like study hard for. Like it's just gonna be like
a chilled one.
Teach. If you don't know, teach. What? But if they can't do, teach. Anyway, then I was like, yeah, it's already, in my mind, I was like, no, it's already a fail plan. You're going to fail. That's like what you're saying. It's like you're going to fail. That's why you have a backup plan. It's because you're going to fail. And I was just like, no, I'm just going to do music. And then it just like didn't work out. And now you're like, shit. You know, like even with COVID now, like you can't, now you're really like fucked, because you're like, even if you like want to like make money and tour the world, you can't now.
Yeah, even if you're like, big, you can't go big now.
Yeah,
that's why I felt so bad for you guys, because you were due to play Misty Waters as well last year.
Splashy Fen even. Splashy Fen, you would have seen Shaky Graves.
Yeah, exactly.
That got postponed. Yeah, but Misty Waters is still happening end of this month. So we're still doing that. So it's going to be like...
that's going to be
literally our first gig out of Bloom since we went to that last Joburg tour.
Yeah.
That we saw us.
But see, that's why I'm excited, because I think it's been 2 tough years, but it's been 2 shit years for many people. And I'm hoping that now, with that, I think that's going to be a good show for you guys.
I think it's going to be brilliant.
Because I think you learned a lot.
For that.
You know your grind bar show? I think you perceived it as being that because you were nervous as well. I think if you go back there and you play that same show.
Like, we played a show at Scarlet once, and we played Sunshine.
Yeah.
And Loki from Wolfgang Marrow said, like, yo, he wants to play a song with us on guitar. I was like, cool. This is the song, but he doesn't play, he plays harmonica, so this is the chords. Loki gets on stage and we start playing. I forget the first verse, and I stop, and we start over, and I forget the first verse, and I stop, we start over, and then, eventually, it was just like, it was like, jy maak almal se naam gat nou. I took the guitar for what Dion still came, took my guitar away. I went to bought 3 beers, sat at the back, Mystic, downed it, started crying, like walked home, and then I wrote in my diary, I wrote the fact that, like, ek gaan dit in Afrikaans sê, maar toe het ek geskryf, die feit dat ek so hartseer is hieroor, wys dat ek iets voel hieroor.
Yeah.
Jy weet, dat dit net like die feit dat dit my so pla dat ek nou huis toe loop en huil en hieroor skryf, jy weet, is vir my soos jy's ernstig hieroor.
It makes you recognize how serious you
are.
Like,
jou want dit raak jou.
Exactly. It hits so deep because it's something so close to your like true heart and true self.
Ja,
like this is what you want to do.
Ja, en dan ek dink die feit dat jy soos jou naam gat maak deur iets wat jy regtig love, maak dit jou net meer gat voel, jy weet, kak voel.
Ja, soos doubt.
Jy weet jy's goed hierin en keer dit op en dan sit soos like ek het hierdie false presence uitgesit van.
And don't you think it's just overthinking? It's your brain like sabotage, like tricking you into doubting. Because you could do that all day, every day. But now on that specific day, on that specific moment, it's bugs out.
It's more a stress thing, yeah. It's
exactly.
Like in a band room, you always feel comfortable. You play, even if you play a wrong note, you recover so quickly that you don't even notice it. But as soon as you're live, you overthink this. Because you see this one person like making eye contact with you, and if you see him that person doesn't like it, automatically you feel like, why doesn't he like this?
Exactly.
What are we doing wrong? And then you overthink this, and then you don't remember lyrics, and then you just pew from there. So I think confidence is always key if you live. Like,
I think that's the
as soon
mistake
as you look
made
nervous, you're gonna
show.
sound nervous.
I think at the first show you zeroed in on someone who wasn't enjoying it, and then you were like so focused on them, you were like, this is the show now.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
And you missed the bigger picture. Because
always when I play, I'll look down.
I actually have a video of that show.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice thing.
I should send it to you. I've got a video of you on the stage there, and it's very, very good.
That's it. Met die white tank top shirt met die streep with the stripes.
And all the colors, the colored lights. I just remember that as well.
They have like a lot of
shit going on
psychedelic
there.
paintings on the wall at the back.
No.
Yeah, that was a cool venue, man.
Exactly. But yeah, no, it's cool to hear the story and to know where you guys are at now. So thanks for coming through, Dylan. That was a lot of fun. We went, as per usual, we went down all sorts of rabbit holes. It was nice talking to you, bro.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Thank you, Annie.
Yeah, first time not sitting in a bar. It's nice to be outside of our natural
water.
with the sparkling water outside of our natural habitat. It's the Joburg ways.
Thank you for having me.
It's something I learned there, and I don't like it about myself necessarily, but it is who I am now.
Yeah.
But thanks, Dylan.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Onto Something. We hope you enjoyed that episode as much as we did. It's always so cool to chat with Dylan because his passion for music and what he does is really palpable, and you can really tell he enjoys what he is doing. If you want to see Safety First live, the good news is they are currently on tour. They'll be playing Rumors Rock City on the 2nd of April 2022. So see you there. It'll be a massive Joel.